For years, managing conditions like type 2 diabetes and obesity has often felt like a real uphill battle, hasn't it?
It really has. You're grappling with these incredibly complex biological systems.
And for many people, it means frequent injections, which isn't always easy.
Definitely not.
Now, we've seen some incredible breakthroughs recently. I mean, drugs like Ozempic and Mounjaro, they've genuinely changed the game in metabolic medicine.
They really have set a new standard, huge advancements.
But even these remarkable drugs have brought new challenges into focus, haven't they?
That's true. Things like making sure patients stick with the treatment.
Right. Adherence.
And also addressing that critical issue of losing muscle mass, not just fat, during weight loss.
Exactly. Which can affect metabolism long term.
Yeah.
So today we're going to unpack an investigational compound. One that's not just building on these successes, but it seems like it's fundamentally trying to rewrite the rule book on metabolic medicine.
That's a good way to put it.
Our mission today is to understand if this compound, bioglutide, also known as NA-931, could it be the answer to some of these persistent frustrations?
You mean by tackling multiple metabolic pathways at once?
Yes, and crucially, aiming for that convenient oral delivery. A pill instead of a shot.
Which would be a massive shift.
Absolutely. So we've synthesized information from, the latest scientific research papers, in-depth articles, expert commentary, all to bring you the clearest picture possible.
Okay, but before we really dive into the specifics, it's absolutely crucial to understand something up front.
Okay, what's that?
The content presented here is for informational purposes only and is not medical advice.
Right, important distinction.
Very. Please consult with a qualified healthcare professional for any personal health questions.
Always the best course.
And also, the therapies we will be discussing are investigational, meaning they are not approved by the Food and Drug Administration and are not available for use.
Got it. Investigational, not approved, not available.
Precisely. This distinction is paramount as we talk about, the cutting edge of science and what the future might hold, not what's actually out there right now.
Understood.
Yeah.
So to really grasp the ingenuity behind these next generation ideas, we probably need to start with the basics.
Agreed. Understanding the body's own regulatory systems is key.
Let's begin with something called the incretin effect. I think getting this foundation right is absolutely essential to appreciate what these new therapies are trying to do.
Absolutely. The incretin effect, it describes a really fascinating and essential process in our bodies. It kicks in every time we eat.
Okay, after eating.
Yeah. So when you consume food, especially meals with carbohydrates and fats, your gut isn't just, a passive tube.
It's active.
Very active. It responds by releasing a whole cascade of hormones into your bloodstream.
Hormones from the gut.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And these hormones then travel around the body, signaling to organs like the pancreas, the brain, even the liver.
Telling them what to do.
Sort of, initiating these sophisticated metabolic adjustments to handle the nutrients coming in. Now, among this cascade, two hormones really stand out.
Okay.
They're often called the star players in this metabolic orchestra. There's glucagon-like peptide 1, or GLP-1 for short.
GLP-1, right. Heard of that one?
And glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide, or GIP.
GIP, okay.
These are your body's natural incretin hormones, and they are just crucial for maintaining metabolic balance, especially after you eat.
So GLP-1 and GIP, how do they work? Are they similar?
They have complementary roles, but distinct actions. Let's break down GLP-1 first. It's quite multifaceted.
Okay.
First, and maybe most importantly for blood sugar, it stimulates the release of insulin from your pancreas.
Right. Insulin lowers blood sugar.
Exactly. But here's the crucial part. It does it in a glucose-dependent way.
What does that mean, glucose-dependent?
It means GLP-1 mainly tells the pancreas to release insulin only when your blood sugar levels are high, like after a meal.
So it doesn't just release insulin all the time.
Correct. And that's a brilliant safety feature. It significantly minimizes the risk of your blood sugar going too low, hypoglycemia.
Which can be dangerous.
Very. It's a big concern with some older diabetes medications that just push insulin out regardless of glucose levels.
Okay, so that's the insulin part. What else does GLP-1 do?
Well, secondly, it plays a critical role in managing another hormone, glucagon.
Glucagon. I know that one raises blood sugar.
Typically, yes. Glucagon usually tells your liver to make and release more glucose, especially if blood sugar is low.
So GLP-1 counteracts that.
It suppresses glucagon, so it helps prevent your liver from putting out unnecessary glucose after you've eaten. It helps keep things stable.
Makes sense. What else?
Thirdly, it affects your digestion. It slows down something called gastric emptying.
Gastric emptying. meaning food moving out of the stomach.
Exactly. It makes food move from your stomach into your intestines more slowly.
And why is that helpful?
Because nutrients are absorbed more gradually. You avoid those sharp, quick spikes in blood sugar after eating.
Okay. And maybe feel fuller longer, too.
Precisely. That slower emptying contributes to feeling full. And finally, GLP-1 acts directly on your brain.
On the brain, how?
It hits specific receptors in brain areas that regulate appetite. It promotes satiety, that feeling of fullness and satisfaction.
Wow. So it influences appetite control directly.
Yes, which can naturally lead to eating less and potentially weight loss. It's quite comprehensive.
Okay, that's GLP-1. What about GIP, the other one?
GIP also stimulates insulin release, and it's also glucose-dependent, like GLP-1.
So similar in that way.
Yes, but its other effects and mechanisms are distinct. Scientists are still, fully unraveling all its complex contributions, but having both working is important.
And you mentioned this system can be impaired.
Yes, that's a critical point. In people with type 2 diabetes, this whole natural incretin system often doesn't work as well.
How so?
They might not produce enough GLP-1 or GIP, or their body's cells might not respond to them properly. This definitely contributes to the challenges in managing blood sugar and weight.
Okay, so these natural hormones are powerful, but if the system's impaired, and I guess there's another catch.
There's a big catch. Even when the system is working, it's their incredibly short half-life.
Half-life, meaning how long they last.
Exactly. Take native GLP-1. It gets broken down super fast by an enzyme called DPP-4.
How fast?
We're talking 1 to 2 minutes. It's basically gone from your bloodstream almost immediately.
Wow, that's quick. Like a flash.
It really is, which means the natural hormone just can't sustain its beneficial effects long enough to be used as a therapy for chronic conditions.
Right. You can't be injecting it every 2 minutes.
Absolutely not. So this biological limitation, it was a huge hurdle. It meant scientists couldn't just give people the natural hormone.
So what did they do?
They had to engineer synthetic versions called agonists. These are like molecular mimics.
Mimics?
Yes, they copy the action of the natural hormones, but, and this is the genius part, they're designed to resist being broken down by that DPP-4 enzyme.
They're tougher.
Much tougher. They can stay active in the body for hours or even a whole week, depending on the specific drug.
And that makes them usable as medicine.
That's what makes them viable therapeutic agents for chronic conditions like type 2 diabetes and obesity. That leap from understanding the short-lived natural process to engineering long-acting drugs, that's really the foundation of today's incretin therapies.
That's a fantastic explanation. It really sets the stage. You understand the body's system, the problem, and the clever fix that led to drugs like Ozempic.
Exactly.
Which makes you wonder, okay, what's next? How do you improve on that? And that brings us to Bioglutide, or NA-931.
Indeed. This is where we see that next potential evolution.
So let's focus on this specific compound now.
Okay.
Right.
But again, right up front, the necessary disclaimer.
Go ahead.
It is important to state that Bioglutide is an investigational drug and is not approved or available for use.
Investigational. Not approved. Got it.
Crucial point. So Bioglutide is being developed using what's called a multi-agonist strategy.
Multi-agonist.
Yeah.
Meaning more than one target.
More than one or even two. It's designed to simultaneously target 4 separate hormone systems.
4. Wow. That does sound like a significant shift.
It is. It's a conceptual leap from current therapies, which hit 1, like Ozempic, or 2, like Mounjaro.
And the thinking behind hitting 4 targets at once.
The rationale is to try and coordinate several key metabolic pathways simultaneously. The hope is to get a more comprehensive, maybe more potent effect on metabolism and weight.
Like conducting a bigger orchestra, you said.
Exactly. A richer metabolic symphony, perhaps. So briefly, the 4 targets are the 2 we know, GLP-1 and GIP.
Okay.
Plus glucagon and insulin-like growth factor 1, or IGF-1.
GLP-1, GIP, glucagon, and IGF-1. Okay, that is ambitious. It sounds almost like metabolic juggling.
It is definitely a complex balancing act they're aiming for.
Let's break down each one. Why these 4? What's the specific reasoning? It can't just be random.
No, definitely not random. There's a specific strategy for each. Let's start with the first 2, GLP-1 and GIP.
The ones we just discussed.
Right. As we covered, these are the established incretins. Their roles in insulin release, glucagon suppression, stomach emptying, satiety, they're well understood, clinically proven.
So they're the foundation.
Exactly. In Bioglutide, they provide that essential backbone for glucose control and appetite regulation, building on what we know works.
Makes sense. Now, the third one, glucagon. This is the one that seems odd at first.
It does seem counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Yeah, because glucagon raises blood sugar. So why would you want to activate it in a drug meant to lower blood sugar or help weight loss?
That's the key question. And you're right, glucagon's main known role is raising blood sugar by telling the liver to release glucose.
So how does that fit?
Well, glucagon also has another less talked about but crucial role, energy expenditure.
Energy expenditure, like burning calories.
Precisely. It can influence your metabolic rate, potentially increasing how many calories your body burns. And it promotes the breakdown of stored fat lipolysis.
Ah, so it helps burn fat. That's the benefit they want.
That's the beneficial property for weight management, yes. So the scientific strategy here is that balancing act we mentioned.
How do they balance it?
The idea is that the powerful glucose-lowering effects from the GLP-1 and GIP components in the same molecule are designed to offset the sugar-raising effect of the glucagon component.
So GLP-1 and GIP keep the blood sugar in check,
allowing the beneficial energy burning and fat breakdown effects of glucagon to come through, hopefully without causing high blood sugar hyperglycemia.
Okay, so it's like neutralizing the downside to get the upside.
That's a good way to think about it, leveraging glucagon's energy effects in a controlled way.
Clever. Okay, what about the fourth target, IGF-1? That sounds different.
It is. Insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1, is probably the most novel addition here. It's not something you typically see in this class of drugs.
And what does IGF-1 do?
It's involved in cell growth, metabolism, but critically, and this is key for weight loss, it plays a role in maintaining lean muscle mass.
Ah, muscle mass. You mentioned that earlier as a challenge.
Exactly. When people lose a lot of weight, especially quickly, they don't just lose fat. A significant chunk can be muscle.
And that's bad because...
Because muscle burns more calories at rest than fat does. Losing muscle slows down your metabolic rate,
making it harder to keep the weight off long term, or hitting those plateaus.
Precisely. It contributes to weight regain and makes maintenance much harder. That metabolic slowdown is a real issue.
So the IGF-1 is meant to combat that.
That's the rationale. By including an IGF-1 target, the hope is to potentially mitigate some of that muscle loss during weight reduction.
So you'd lose weight but keep more muscle.
Ideally, yes. Leading to not just significant weight loss, but a healthier body composition, more fat loss relative to muscle loss.
Which is better for your metabolism and long-term health. It's not just about the number on the scale.
Exactly. It's about achieving healthier, more sustainable weight loss. Preserving muscle is really key for that.
That sounds genuinely innovative, but hitting 4 targets, does that raise concerns like side effects or interactions?
It absolutely does. It's a valid question. Engaging 4 distinct hormone systems at once is complex. Theoretically, it could lead to a wider range of potential drug interactions or maybe unforeseen side effects compared to simpler drugs.
The body systems are all interconnected.
Incredibly intricately. So introducing such a multi-pronged intervention means you need meticulous study. Large, rigorous clinical trials are absolutely essential to fully map out the complete safety and efficacy profile. You have to look very carefully.
Okay, so a sophisticated mechanism, but needs thorough testing.
Now, you also mentioned something else huge. It's being developed as a pill.
Yes, the oral delivery aspect. That's potentially revolutionary for this class of drugs.
Why is it such a big deal? I mean, lots of medicines are pills.
True, but not typically peptides like these incretin hormones. Peptides are large, complex molecules.
And pills go through the stomach, which is harsh.
Extremely harsh. The stomach acid usually destroys peptides almost instantly, and even if they survive that, enzymes in the digestive tract break them down further. They usually don't make it into the bloodstream intact. Like sending glass through a rock crusher, you said.
Exactly. So developing an oral peptide requires some really sophisticated bioengineering. It's a major scientific challenge.
How do they overcome that?
There are different approaches, maybe using special absorption enhancers chemicals that temporarily make the intestinal lining a bit more permeable so the large molecule can slip through.
Okay.
Or using novel encapsulation techniques, basically. Putting the peptide inside a protective shell that shields it from the stomach acid and releases it at the right spot in the intestine for absorption.
Like a tiny submarine for the drug.
Kind of, yes. So bioglutide's success really hinges not just on its multi-target action, but just as much on solving these incredibly tricky formulation and delivery problems. It's a huge hurdle.
And if they do solve it, the impact for patients could be massive.
Monumental. Think about current therapies, Ozempic, Mounjaro. They require regular injections, usually weekly or daily.
which can be a barrier for some people.
A significant one. There's the practical aspect, the psychological aspect. People talk about injection fatigue.
Just getting tired of doing it.
Exactly. Or being hesitant to even start because of the needles. An effective oral pill could just bypass all of that.
Making it easier to start treatment and stick with it.
Potentially, yes. Improving both initiation and long-term adherence. And adherence is absolutely vital for managing chronic conditions like obesity and diabetes effectively over years.
And for the market. An oral version would be huge competition.
Absolutely. If an oral pill delivers similar or better results than injectables, it could dramatically reshape the market. It would likely spur more innovation, maybe even affect pricing eventually.
So for listeners, it's about removing those practical and psychological hurdles, making treatment more accessible.
That's the hope, making potentially life-changing treatment more sustainable and available to more people.
Okay, so with this unique mechanism and the oral delivery goal, how does bioglutide stack up against what's already out there or close behind it? It sounds like it's aiming high.
It certainly is positioned as a potential major advancement. Let's compare. You have Ozempic, semaglutide, that's a single agonist, mimicking GLP-1. Hugely effective, set a new standard.
Right, the first big leap.
Then came Mounjaro, tirzepatide, that was the next big step. A dual GLP-1 and GIP agonist.
Hitting two targets.
Yes, and it showed significantly greater efficacy in trials, often over 20% weight loss. Truly groundbreaking, proving the power of combining those two incretins.
Okay.
Now, bioglutide aims to push that multi-hormone strategy even further, targeting 4 pathways.
GLP-1, GIP, Glucagon, IGF-1.
Right, and the theoretical advantages are compelling. Glucagon for potentially boosting energy expenditure and fat burning.
Right, the balanced approach.
And IGF-1 for that unique potential benefit of preserving muscle mass during weight loss, aiming for that healthier body composition.
Addressing key limitations of just weight loss alone.
That's the idea, potentially offering a more comprehensive solution for more sustainable, metabolically healthy weight reduction.
That you keep saying theoretical.
Absolutely, and this is the crucial caveat we have to keep coming back to. These are theoretical advantages based on the science of the individual hormones.
They have to prove it works that way in real people.
Precisely. These potential benefits must be demonstrated in large, extensive, rigorous clinical trials. The complexity of hitting 4 systems means real-world results are paramount. Theory is one thing, clinical proof is everything.
Okay, so moving from theory to practice, what do we actually know about bioglutide's performance in those trials? And what about safety? That's always the big question.
It is. And this is where the data, even early data, becomes so important. So regarding clinical trial status, bioglutide is currently in phase 2 trials.
Phase 2, what does that mean again?
Okay, quick recap. Phase 1 is mainly about initial safety in healthy volunteers, finding the right dose range. Phase 2 moves into patients with the actual condition, hundreds of them usually.
And what are they looking for in phase 2?
2 main things: confirming safety in a larger group, and getting the first real signals of efficacy. Does the drug actually work in patients? Does the hypothesis hold up?
But it's not the final word.
No. Phase 2 trials have limitations. Smaller groups, shorter durations compared to the big phase 3 studies that come next. Phase 2 gives strong indications, but phase 3 is definitive.
And have they released the phase 2 results for bioglutide?
Specific efficacy numbers haven't been widely made public yet. That's actually not unusual at this stage. Companies often wait for scientific meetings or publication.
Okay, but what's the general expectation given the mechanism?
Based on the 4 targets and the results we saw with dual agonists like Mounjaro, the hope or expectation is that bioglutide would aim for efficacy that's, at least comparable to, if not better than, the current leaders.
Better weight loss, better blood sugar control.
That would be the goal. But again, these are early expectations. The real proof comes from phase 3. Those large, long trials are the ultimate judge.
Understood. What about the safety profile so far? Any red flags?
Based on what's been shared publicly, the safety profile in these early trials seems generally consistent with the existing GLP-1 class of drugs.
So similar side effects to Ozempic or Mounjaro?
That seems to be the case so far, which is encouraging, suggesting no major unexpected safety issues have popped up yet due to the multi-target approach.
And what are those typical side effects?
Primarily gastrointestinal. Things like nausea, which can be significant for some people, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation.
When do those usually happen?
Often most noticeable when you first start the medication or when the dose is increased. For many people, they tend to lessen over time as the body adapts, but not always.
Are there any less common but more serious concerns with this class?
Yes, there are class-based concerns that are always monitored closely. Things like potential gallbladder issues, like gallstones, or in real cases, pancreatitis inflammation of the pancreas.
And we'll only know about rare or long-term side effects after phase 3.
Exactly. Phase 3 trials, being much larger and longer, are designed to pick up those less frequent or longer-term issues.
Are there people who definitely shouldn't take these kinds of drugs? Contraindications.
Yes, there are established contraindications based on the drug class. Typically, individuals with a personal or family history of medullary thyroid carcinoma, a rare thyroid cancer, are advised against them.
Okay.
Also, patients with a history of pancreatitis or certain severe gastrointestinal diseases might be contraindicated.
Which really highlights why you need medical supervision.
Absolutely. This underscores the absolute necessity of medical supervision. These are powerful tools. They require expert guidance for safe and effective use. It's not something to take lightly.
Definitely. So for people following this, hoping for new options, the big questions are always, when might it be available? And what will it cost?
Understandable questions.
Right.
And the timeline one often leads to After successful phase 2, you move into large multinational phase 3 trials. These are the big ones, thousands of patients, often running for 2 years or more.
2 years or more just for the trials.
Easily. To get that long-term data. Then, after those are successfully completed, the company compiles massive amounts of data into a new drug application, the NDA.
And submits it to the FDA.
Right. Then the FDA review process begins, and that itself can take another year, sometimes longer.
So realistically, if a drug is just finishing phase 2 or starting phase 3 now,
You're likely looking at least 3 to 5 years before potential approval. That's if everything goes smoothly.
so any talk of something like Bioglutide being approved in, say, 2025,
Based on standard timelines, that's highly unlikely. It's important to manage expectations realistically. Safety and thoroughness take time.
okay. And what about cost? These drugs are expensive now.
They are. The high price of current therapies is a huge barrier to access for many.
What might influence Bioglutide's price if it gets approved way down the line?
Several things. The complexity of manufacturing it, especially as an oral multi-agonist peptide, that's likely expensive.
Okay.
And the competitive landscape at the time. If there are several highly effective options by then, that could create pressure on pricing.
But the biggest factor is probably insurance, right?
Critically important. Will insurance companies cover it comprehensively? That's a huge question mark, especially for obesity treatment alone.
Coverage for diabetes is usually better than for obesity.
Often, yes. Coverage for obesity as a primary diagnosis can be much more variable and challenging to get approved, unfortunately, leaving patients with huge out-of-pocket costs.
So even if the science is great, access depends heavily on cost and insurance.
It's a crucial economic reality that significantly impacts who can actually benefit from these advancements.
Now, Bioglutide sounds promising, but you mentioned it's not alone. This field is moving fast. What else is happening?
That's right. The competitive landscape is incredibly dynamic. There are other major players in development taking different approaches. Well, one that's generated a lot of buzz is retatrutide.
Okay, retransferred.
And the disclaimer first. It is important to state that retatrutide is an investigational therapy, meaning it is not approved and cannot be prescribed.
Got it. Investigational. What's its approach?
Retatrutide is an injectable, like Ozempic or Mounjaro, but it's a triple agonist.
Triple, so GLP-1, GIP, and
Glucagon. Similar to Bioglutide's inclusion of glucagon, but retatrutide focuses on those three.
And how's it performing?
Its phase 2 results were remarkable. It showed unprecedented weight loss, an average of around 24%.
24%? Wow, that's huge.
It really set a new benchmark in phase 2 efficacy, so it's a major contender, taking that multi-hormone injectable approach even further.
Okay, that's retatrutide. Any others?
Another really interesting one is orforglipron.
Orforglipron.
And again, as an investigational therapy, orforglipron is not yet approved.
Okay. What's unique about orforglipron?
2 key things. First, like Bioglutide, it's being developed as an oral drug, a pill.
Ah, another one aiming for the pill convenience.
Yes, but here's the second really crucial distinction. Orforglipron is a small molecule, not a peptide.
Small molecule. How is that different from a peptide like Bioglutide or Ozempic?
It's a fundamentally different type of chemical structure. Peptides are large, complex, often fragile. Small molecules are, well, smaller, simpler structures.
And why does that matter?
Generally, small molecules are easier and cheaper to manufacture at scale, and they are often absorbed more easily and reliably through the digestive system without needing those complex bioengineering tricks like encapsulation or enhancers.
So it could be easier to make and potentially cheaper.
Potentially, yes. It represents a completely different technological pathway to getting an effective oral therapy for these conditions, a different solution to the oral delivery challenge.
Wow. So you've got bioglutide as an oral multi-agonist peptide, retitrutide as an injectable triple agonist peptide, and orforglipron as an oral small molecule.
Exactly. Each has a potential niche, a different strategy. This intense competition, this variety of approaches, it's ultimately great for patients.
Because it means more options eventually.
Likely a broader, more tailored range of treatments down the road. We're moving closer to being able to personalize metabolic therapies based on individual needs and maybe even preferences, like oral versus injectable.
That's really exciting. But with all this excitement and complexity, public interest is bound to be sky high.
It absolutely is, especially online.
And you mentioned misinformation earlier. That must be rampant with topics like these.
Unfortunately, yes. Online forums, social media, they can be great for support, but also a real minefield.
What kind of misinformation do you typically see?
You see a mix of intense hope, understandable anxiety, and definitely misinformation. Common examples are those unrealistic approval timelines we talked about coming next year, when it's years away.
Right, setting people up for disappointment.
Or exaggerated claims about how well a drug works, maybe based on one anecdote blown out of proportion. Or the opposite, scary side effect stories that aren't representative of the overall data.
So how can listeners navigate this? How do they find reliable information?
The key is always look for verified sources. Prioritize evidence.
Like what?
Look for data from clinical trials published in reputable, peer-reviewed medical journals. Those have been vetted by other scientists.
Okay, not just blogs or forums.
Right. Also, official announcements from regulatory bodies like the FDA. They are the authority. Websites of major academic medical centers or established scientific organizations are usually reliable too.
So be critical of where the information comes from.
Absolutely. Ask yourself, is this source credible? Do they have an agenda? Does this claim sound too good or too bad to be true? Cross-reference information. Understanding the drug development stages helps too. You can spot unrealistic claims more easily.
Good advice. Empower yourself with reliable knowledge.
Exactly. Your health decisions should always be based on the best available science, discussed with your own doctor.
Well, this has been a truly illuminating deep dive into bioglutide and the future directions in this field. It really highlights the incredible pace of progress.
It really does. In conclusion, bioglutide represents, I think, a significant potential step forward. It clearly underscores this trend towards more sophisticated, multi-targeted therapies.
Addressing the complexity of weight and metabolism from multiple angles.
Precisely. And it also highlights that critical demand for more convenient oral delivery methods. That could be a game changer for access and adherence.
The ongoing research is constantly pushing our understanding.
It really is. Advancing our knowledge of human physiology and offering genuine new possibilities for people dealing with obesity and related conditions. We really are moving toward a more personalized approach to metabolic health.
Beyond just managing symptoms.
Yes, shifting the focus towards optimizing overall well-being, achieving healthier body compositions, and hopefully preventing those serious long-term complications. It's a continuous journey of discovery.
It's an exciting time, full of potential. Thank you for breaking it all down for us.
My pleasure.
And thank you, listeners, for joining us for this deep dive. If you found this information valuable, maybe consider sharing it with someone else who might benefit from clear, reliable health insights.
Your support really does help us continue these detailed explorations.
Absolutely. We appreciate you tuning in.